The time is now 6 p.m. and I call the meeting to order. Tonight we have our regular school board meeting. It is September 25th, 2024. And first I will ask Clerk Milner to take attendance.
Director Pine.
Here.
Director Biermeyer.
Here.
Director Zuzek.
Here.
Vice Chair Dressley.
Here.
Chair Tate.
Here.
Director Bruns.
We're sharing.
Here.
Director Milner here.
Thank you. All right, and now I'd like to ask all who are able to please stand and remove your headwear for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now I would love to invite our student school board representatives up toward the front of the room. Obviously, folks have noticed we've got a different seating arrangement because we are very excitedly welcoming our 4 new student school board representatives this evening. So if you would, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and will faithfully discharge the duties of student school board representative serving Independent School District 200 to the best of my judgment and ability. All right, welcome. Have a seat. So I would like to introduce our students. First up, we have Briseis Reznako. We have Aiden Garcia over here. We have Genevieve Banky, who likes to go by Jen, by the way. And we have Victoria Steinke. Welcome. All right. Next, I am looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Director Biermeyer, motions to approve tonight's agenda.
Zuzek seconds.
All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion to approve the agenda passes unanimously. All right, next up, we have the approval of the meeting minutes from the August 28th, 2024 and September 10th, 2024 board meetings. Could I please get a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from the August 28th, 2024 regular meeting and the September 10th, 2024 special meeting.
Could I get a second, please?
Biermeyer seconds.
All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All right, seeing no opposition, the minutes for August 28th, 2024 and September 10th, 2024 are approved. And next, I would like to thank all of the visitors, both in the room and online. Thank you for joining us and for supporting Hastings Public Schools. And next up, we have our Raider Spotlight.
All right, well, first off, we have, it's MSBA, which stands for the Minnesota School Board Association. It is School Board Recognition Month, the month of September. And so MSBA put together a video, and we have that prepared for you, just a recognition of the work that our school boards across Minnesota put in.
In Hastings, I became a school board member to step up and do something for thousands of kids and hopefully improve their outcomes. School boards are important to have the community represented within the local district. We set policy, we set the direction of the district with our vision and mission statement. We also approve budgets and make sure that we are using taxpayer money wisely. What I would like community members to appreciate about school board members is that they put in a lot of hours, and these are a lot of their hours away from their families. But I think really seeing a positive direction tremendously rewarding.
All right, so our very own representing MSBA. So with that, thank you for all that you do.
It's all good. All right, well, thank you. It was an honor to be asked to be a part of that, I will say, and I was one of 6 board members who did the promotional video, and we did it during the summer seminar for MSBA. And I'm very proud to say that I had 2 different employees from MSBA come up to me and congratulate us on the fantastic work that we are doing, because they are hearing amazing things out of the Hastings district. So that was awesome to hear. So well done, everybody. All right, next up.
All right, thank you. We have Friends of the Library with us tonight. So we have Kathy Swanson, who is the president. So I'd invite you to come forward. For the first time, we partnered with the Friends of the Library, and I'm just so appreciative of the work that you put in. And if you want to just speak to the program that you offered this year.
Yeah, so just background on Friends of the Library. We started in 1993 when the former library that was on Vermilion Street had a fire, and a group of individuals wanted to help organize and help the library going forward through that transition into the new building. The building up on Pleasant Hill is only is 30 years old this year, so there was an open house earlier this week. And so I've been in part of the Friends organization since the late 90s. So I've been part of that group for a long time, but we help raise some funds to help the library purchase things that are outside of their normal budget. We provide volunteers for different events, and we try to help educate the community on the services that the library does provide. And in more recent years, we've been trying to foster a tie to the school districts and the school, so we've offered a high school scholarship. We have had some of the teens volunteer at our book sales to help us raise, clean up and set up, and so some of those kinds of things. But this year we had an idea that we wanted to reach out with some funds to see what we could do for the schools directly, and especially the conversation landed around new teachers and how expensive it is for them to take money out of their own pockets to pay for supplies for their rooms. And we said, well, let's try this for a year, and we're hoping that a program going forward. So we gave $1,000, and you selected the teachers yourself, but new teachers, to supply books for their rooms.
Yeah, and I had the honor with Director Gore to go around, and so it was $166 for 6 brand new teachers in our district, and we got to go and present them with that certificate. And if that wasn't a heartwarming event, I think Director Gore is back there shaking her head, because it was definitely, some of them were, oh my goodness, I know exactly the first book I'm going to get. Somebody sang a song for us. Like it was just truly filled with gratitude. So we definitely want to express our gratitude to the Friends of the Library.
Cool, and thank you. And our big thing is that we want to get kids and teens involved early. Get people reading right away, and you become lifelong readers. So that's one of our items that we focus on.
Well, thank you. We also have a token of gratitude for the board.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciated.
All right, next up we have our public comment session. So at this time, we'll hear from one individual from the public, and you will be allotted 3 minutes of time, and we should have a sign over here, yes, we have a 30-second sign, and then we also have a timer that will alert to the end of the 3 minutes. We ask that speakers please state their name for the record and refrain from using this time to criticize or complain about any specific employee by name. And be aware that the school board is interested in hearing comments from the public and will listen carefully, but is not obligated to respond or debate in this setting. We also request that speakers be respectful. Comments by any others may be ruled out of order, and those not abiding by this may potentially be asked to leave. So, Ms. Hedin, please come forward. Welcome.
Thank you. I didn't get the email, but I feel like I dressed appropriately. I've been having the opportunity to work at Pinecrest the last couple weeks, and I can attest the HVAC is working well and very robustly in that building. My name is Lisa Hedin. I'm an employee of the school district, and I'm a resident of Denmark Township, and I have 2 children that graduated from Hastings Public Schools, including ECFE. I'm here tonight to ask you to reflect on and take action on 2 specific issues. The first was a strategic plan. There was a conversation, I believe that it was at the work session in September. I might have poor notes on that. And there was a conversation about refreshing that plan. I use this because I don't know what refresh means, and I would imagine if we went around the table, everybody has a different sense of that. I think when you speak to Chair Tate saying, the positive things that are coming out of the district, it is the strength of this plan that was developed 3 years ago that put us in a clear direction, and we've had a number of key leaders come to our district and apply to our district, including our current superintendent, because of that strategic plan and the mission, vision, and values that it states. And that was done in coordination with a consultant. I just implore you to reconsider the current direction where you're going to refresh it by yourselves. I think MSBA could be a strong supporter. I think we've had great success with them. And it's just not a thing to be done lightly. The difficulty of really robust community engagement, it just cannot be overstated how important it is and how difficult it is. And you have a resource right at your hands for a really reasonable price, I suspect, given the cost that it's been to do up some of our other work with them. So I just really want to implore you on that. And then as we go into this school year, the 2024-25 budget was approved by this board in June with 0 public discussion. There was no discussion leading up to it with regard to there was the truth and taxation hearing in December, but there was no discussion about board values, board guidance, guiding principles, conversations about class size, trade-offs of resourcing a school resource officer versus a mental health person versus a teacher. None of that conversation happened. It didn't happen around principles, and it didn't happen on the night of the approval. Please don't do that again. Please try and put into your schedule an opportunity to have a public conversation that weighs out those values and weighs out your trade-offs, because there were 15 fewer FTE in this budget, and there was never a conversation in public about which ones those were and which ones they weren't. And I don't think that serves the public well. So I think if you start thinking about it now, if you start thinking about it now and you put that into your schedule, there will be opportunities to have those conversations. They are not pleasant. Thank you. They are challenging, but they are super valuable. And it shows the board's commitment then to the budget that goes forward. And you can have robust conversation about this was our trade-off and why. Because it aligned to our principles. And it comes right out of that strong strategic plan. So I just ask that you consider how you build that, and then how you engage the public, and then do your work in the public. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. All right, next up on our agenda is reports and discussions, and the first one is the superintendent report.
Just a couple of notes of gratitude that could have also been some spotlights. So just starting the school year, it's always a time of high energy. So just a thank you to all of the work that gets put into kicking off a new school year. We have a number of things coming up really quickly here. You're hearing safe routes to school. So we are partnering with the Department of Transportation and really looking at our transportation to and from, and working on coming up with a plan there. So we're grateful for the grant work there. We have our school perception survey, which is coming out to our students, staff, and our families. And then following that, we'll engage in another community tour, which might be really fun to have students involved in that as well. I would greatly appreciate that. So we can talk about that later. And then just also acknowledging first Krista Geeson, who's helping us out tonight. Thank you so much for helping. We greatly appreciate it. And then just recognizing last week was a big week for us as homecoming, and recognizing our Raider Crown nominees, and then our recipient, Kate Reuter. And of course, we also finalized that with a win on the football field. So just wanting to acknowledge that. And then as we move next, we have, so as I set my goals each year and you set yours, all of our cabinet members also set their goals. And so in the 3 strategic anchor areas, they set their SMART goals. So tonight we have 2 of our directors presenting on their goals. And then soon you will see that annual or monthly reflection on where they are on their progress as well. So Director Peterson, do you want to come up?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. So my name is Jill Peterson. I'm the Director of Special Services for the district, which encompasses special education, 504 plans. We oversee nursing services, and lots of pieces. So it's a big area. As Dr. Champa was saying, we have 3 areas. The goal that I've chosen to speak on that I'm working on is under efficient operations. So as I've moved into the director role this year, the one thing I really want to focus on is looking at that special education budget and getting a really good idea of where our money is going within that area. I think it's been a few years since it's been looked at, tends to kind of carry over from year to year. If you have been involved with special education funding or have an understanding of it, it is a very complicated formula that is used in the state of Minnesota. And so it is something that I like the challenge of it. It's an area that I'm passionate about, of staying within, what our budget is, spending within our means, but within that, providing the best service that we're able to do for our students. So I've been fortunate to work with Jen Subert. We've been kind of partnering on some things. I know Jen has done an amazing job of keeping our budget where it needs to be so that our district is healthy financially. And so that's what I want to continue working on in my area, is just having a better idea of what that looks like. And so that going forward, we can do a better job of maybe projecting where our expenses go, looking at how we can better provide services, programs within that special service area. So any questions?
I want you, Director Peterson, to try to stay away from specifics. Like, I'm not looking for dollar amounts, but the state has made a significant change, and I think we'd all agree, improvement in special ed funding. And can you talk about how that's changed? Not your job, but special services and the processes for it, because it's been a remarkable change. Maybe you want to speak to that.
It has been. I agree with the increase in the cross subsidy that was approved. Exactly. I would say overall, as far as where we've really seen that improvement, what it's allowed us to do is we are not pulling as much money from our general education fund to cover those special education services. So because we're receiving additional money from the state, I think that's allowed us to have a little more hopefully a little more flexibility and ability to do some other things that those gen ed funds maybe would have originally been used for special education. One of the challenges in special education each year that we need to be mindful of is called maintenance of effort. So one of the things we can't do is, unless for good reason, we can't decrease our spending from year to year. So that's something we always have to be cognizant of, that we are maintaining those efforts as we're providing those services for students. And so it's this fine balance always of wanting to make sure we're providing appropriate services and support. There's always more. I get calls almost daily from contractors and providers and, different programs and curriculum and different things. So there's always more that could be done out there. So it's a balance, I feel like, of are providing the best that we can, but keeping that fiscal, control in mind as well. So no, I think it hopefully has helped overall with everything in our budget. Thank you.
Just to note, each director has 3 SMART goals for each of the areas, and I've asked them to speak to one of them. So,
all right, thank you.
Next, we have Director Gore.
Hi, I'm Carrie Gore, and I'm the Director for Community Education and District Communications. This year, my goal for engaged learners is to implement an initial pilot voluntary pre-kindergarten program for the 24-25 school year, while designing a permanent voluntary pre-kindergarten program that aligns with the existing preschool program, and that will take place next school year. I chose this goal because after over a decade of applying for voluntary pre-K funding, I'm thrilled to announce that Hastings Public Schools has been awarded 70 VPK slots. We're very excited about that. VPK programs are publicly funded initiatives designed to support children and their families, helping them succeed in kindergarten and beyond. This funding enables school districts recognized by the Minnesota Department of Education to integrate a VPK program into their E12 system as an official grade level. This year, my action steps towards achieving this goal includes engaging with all relevant stakeholders such as MDE, the superintendent, the business office, transportation, food service, the MARS coordinator, and the early childhood coordinator. Together, we will establish criteria for student qualifications and placement, budget considerations, transportation routes and schedules, and breakfast and lunch options. Additionally, I will collaborate with our early childhood teachers to fully implement the TS Gold Assessment tool and meet all other VPK requirements. I look forward to implementing this exciting opportunity with our early childhood team, and I am confident that VPK will greatly benefit the qualifying preschoolers in our community. Any questions?
Really more a comment or even a compliment. We have this stream and opportunity coming from the state. We have this need for our community, and your goal is going to marry that. And I think that's really timely and impactful work. I think that's huge, and I think that's an excellent goal.
Okay, thank you so much.
I just have a comment, and the comment is, when was the notification? When did that come out?
The first week of July.
So the first week of July, with the expectation that you would have something, because the dollars are for this fiscal year, they start. And so just applauding to you and Director Subert, and because we sat around a table going, what can we do this year, right? Because anyone who knows me knows I don't like to leave money on the table, right? Yeah. And so they're doing a pilot this year, and that turnaround was incredible. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have our Building Construction Fund project update from Ms. Subert.
Thank you. The Building Construction Fund accounts for the money the district received from the voter-approved bonds for school renovations and improvements. So a few updates since last month. The board had taken action to close out the project for the nature preserve, gravel parking lot, and monument sign. So that has now been moved into complete, and the dollars that were remaining in that project were moved into the contingency. The high school student entrance bollards project was also completed, and the technology improvements. So that project had been done over the life of the bond. It was about $2.5 million, and that all that money has now been spent. So that is moved into completed also. So we're currently sitting at about $277,000 of unallocated funds. And then overall in this account, there's $1.4 million at this point.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Next on our agenda, we have the data request update. And Ms. Subert, do you have those numbers as well? Thank you.
So there have been no legal bills in the last month regarding data requests, and since the last meeting, there have been 2 new requests, and there's currently 5 in process.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Moving on. Now we are going into our school board representatives and committees. And first up, we have our student representative updates. So I'd like to ask Student Representative Rusnako to give a little introduction of yourself and which schools you will be handling, and then also plans for how you plan to solicit information back from your students.
Hello, I am student representative Rasnako. I'm a senior at the high school. In the high school, I am involved with Link Crew, Student Council, and some of the arts programs like ceramics and choir. Starting in October, I will be getting reports from Hastings High School and Tilden Preschool. My plan is to visit the schools. Like the high school, I want to talk to my peers and my teachers as I am there every day of the week. And for Tilden and for the high school, I plan to just reach out to the principals and try to find whatever I can.
Thank you. All right, and next up, I'll have Student Representative Garcia.
Hello, I'm Student Representative Suarez Garcia. Some things I'm involved in is tennis, soccer, FCA, Link Crew, Avid, show choir, and Spanish Honor Society. I have the honor of representing McAuliffe Elementary and the ALC. And for McAuliffe, I hope to meet with the principal and then kind of go from there, see what we can bring together and find that data. And then for the ALC, I'll again hope to meet with the director of the ALC, and if anything, maybe in these coming weeks, have an online thing for the students to even interact with.
Great. All right, thank you. All right, next up we have Student Representative Banky.
Hi, I'm so happy to be working with you all on the school board this year. I'm Student Representative Banky, and some things that I do at the high school, I'm in Link Crew, and I'm in pep band, and I do marching band, and I'm in jazz band, and I'm also involved in the Spanish club. And then I'm also involved in track and wrestling and Nordic skiing. Wow. Or have been. And then I'm representing Kennedy and Pinecrest, and I hope to reach out to their principals because they are elementary schools. I don't think there's going to be as much interaction going on as there would be with the high school or the middle school. So I think I'll reach out to their principals, and then if it comes that I need to go to the school and see what's going on there, I'll do such. But other than that, that's what I'll try to do.
All right, thank you. And then finally, we have Student Representative Steinke.
Hello, I'm Student Representative Steinke. I'm involved in arts programs, the girls hockey team, and the writing center at the high school. I'm excited to be representing the middle school. In order to highlight the current events of the student body, I will be in close contact with Mr. Wynn, the principal, other faculty, and students, so I can provide an accurate report that creates a strong connection between the students and the community.
All right, thank you. And the plan is for next month, our students will have their first reports to report out for us, and I'm really looking forward to that. All right, any questions from board members? All right, well done.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next up, we have Director Zuzik will present his report from District 917.
Thank you. I'd mentioned that the 917's been hiring fast and furiously, and I'm going to keep my comments brief and just say that one of the things that I was really proud of is the program that 917 did, and also Fridley Public Schools did, with hiring international teachers to fill needs in special ed classrooms, has been copied, really generously copied by all 4 of the intermediate school districts. So there's 4 intermediate school districts in the state of Minnesota. They form a solid ring around St. Paul and Minneapolis public schools. And 917 is one of those. So 917, 916, 288, and 287 are the 4 districts. And all 4 of them have joined together with Mankato State to do a hiring program. And that wouldn't have happened if it didn't start with efforts that happened 4 or 5 years ago at 917 to get our whistle wet and try those things. So I'm just really proud of what's happened. And can't say that the hiring crunch is completely taken care of. And so Director Peterson will vouch that we still have some seats that we wish we could fill, and we don't have enough paraprofessionals, so, but.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, next up, we have the AMSD update from Director Bruns.
That was an excellent lead-in, the work at 917, because they are a featured story in the connections issue. It highlights the 4 intermediates, but outside of their work recruiting teachers from other countries, especially the Philippines, they're working with the Minnesota State Mankato to launch a teacher apprenticeship program. And it's introducing folks into the teaching profession that hadn't existed there before. It's knocking down barriers, and it's been highly effective. So I think this is something that most districts, and as I've talked about the profession for a long time, I've always viewed it as something that could look like the trades, where you could really learn your best and get some version of a stipend or pay in that apprentice or journeyman status as you climb your way and get the experience. Because the best learning is in the classroom alongside someone that can teach you along the way. You'll never learn as much as in the classroom as you do in that setting. Further along, it just talks about the importance of referendums are going before communities at any time. They account for about 9% of all funding for any school district. So they are important and integral, even though it looks like we've gotten budgetary increases from the state, and we have gotten new monies, but they are tied directly to programs. So when we look at additional costs that, or even just looking at the impacts of inflation on our district, until those things are directly tied and married and they catch up and live together really well, those are going to be integral to districts. So bear that in mind when voting on those. And not specific to ours, because that won't be in front of you this time around at all, but it is excellent reading. It provides insight that it isn't necessarily an ask without a need directly tied to it.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Next up, we have our Community Collaboration Committee update from Director Pine.
Last week, we had our 3rd committee or collaboration meeting with the residents of Hastings. And this committee is Director Biermeyer, Director Bruns, and myself. We had experts there from the district with directors of facility and safety, Scott Stockdale, and then the principals from both high school, middle school, and the elementary schools were all representative to give us updates around the roundtable topics that we set, student safety, and then engaged learners. So we had topics with Scott Stockdale, the water, the middle school project update, and then just between him and the principals, it just really flowed well. The topic went right into safety, and then the engaged learners. We talked about the cell phone policies. The community was really engaged. They're appreciative of the cell phone policy. No one more excited about than probably the parents. We got some future topics out of that meeting with just additional strategic plan work, survey results, some policies that are in the pipeline. And I know we had future dates on the calendar. I think the one in April, we may have to move. There was a conflict of Easter break. Okay, so the January one, and we're looking to continue to do more work with the public.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right. Next up, we have our Facilities Committee update from Director Milner.
Facilities Committee did not meet, and our next meeting will be November 1st for another update.
All right, thank you. And next we have the Finance Committee update from Director Zuzik.
Finance Committee has not met since our last meeting, and our next one, October 22nd, 10 o'clock.
Thank you. And then next we have the NAPAC Committee update from Director Bruns.
This meeting was, I mean, you can attest to how robust it was. So they had Betsy Blackhawk joined us from the Office of American Indian Education from the state and provided, I won't go through it because it's pretty exhaustive detail, but I would say that the thesis statement is they want to provide access for everyone and help NAPACs get across the finish line in a way that provides them with resources and look internally to remove a lot of the barriers that existed prior. It was awesome. And I don't know if anyone has met the new full-time liaison that's been hired, Alyssa Cherry, folks. You have to know that they are running. They are taking this role and really leaning into it. And if you review the notes from the meeting, you'll see, gosh, they're really planning a lot of things. There's a lot of things that are going to take place, and this is really exciting for members of our community. But it's not the end of their list. They're still collaborating with really strong representatives in that liaison role in other districts. So there's more to come. And a lot of it is really well thought out, highly collaborative, and seeking resources all the time. But there are some really incredible opportunities that are going to become available that did not exist before. So this is really impactful work. And I think it will expand and we'll be better at identifying our folks that qualify and can receive and benefit from these efforts. And it's really exciting to watch this team roll.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Next up, we have our Student School Board Committee update from Vice Chair Dressley.
And the committee has not met since our last meeting. We don't intend to meet until after the new committee is appointed in January. We'll just leave it on the agenda in case something comes up.
Sounds good. All right, and next, back to you with the Policy Committee update.
During September, the policy committee met twice. We reviewed 4 policies that will be detailed in the first readings that follow. Policy 520, student surveys, will be brought to the November working session for discussion, and we'll have some district administration there for, they'll be the experts in the room to give us kind of a little bit of guidance on that policy. The committee will follow a timeline to have the new cell phone policy in place by March 15th, 2025. Our next policy committee meeting is October 4th at 10 a.m. Yep. So tonight for first readings, we have policy 514. It's our bullying prohibition policy. The committee discussed removing the word human from section 1, adding a definition for civil discourse. We added learning to section 3F, and the rest of it all is to align with MSBA model policy. The cross-references and legal references were updated. Does anybody have any questions about policy 514? Okay. Then we have policy 526, hazing prohibition, and this policy hadn't been reviewed or hadn't been revised since 2006. So there are a lot of changes in there, but all of the changes in there are to align with MSBA model policy. There were no additional changes made to this policy. Any questions? 531, the Pledge of Allegiance, again, the same thing. Well, this one didn't require any updates. It's the exact same as it was in 2006. All we did was change the review date at the bottom. Okay. And then policy 909, memorials and memorial activities for students and staff. This is a new policy that's being that was recommended by administration. There is no MSBA model policy, so we use Pine Island's policy as the starting point or as the model for our policy. This is a first reading. I do know that we have received some feedback, and that when it comes back for second reading, there will be updates to this policy as well as policies that we will have for third reading. Our second and third reading tonight, there have been no changes to those, but there will be changes to our second reading policies when they move into third reading, just so everybody's aware that they won't be on the consent agenda next month, because we'll need to discuss them individually. And then policy 503.1, student attendance, will be sunset in the consent agenda tonight. Any questions? No? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay, moving along. We'll go into our action items for the evening. And I do want to make it clear that student representatives, unfortunately, you don't get to vote. It's reserved for elected officials. So run for school board when you're older and you get to vote. So first up, we have our consent agenda. So I'm looking for a motion on this item.
Zuzik motions to approve the consent agenda, and for the students on the school board, the consent agenda is a body of work that we've already talked about most of the things. and they're coming for like maybe the third time that we would have seen it. So instead of looking at it again deeply, it goes into the consent agenda. And some other stuff like bills payable. Not bills payable.
Yeah, bills payable.
Bills payable.
We're good. Could I get a second, please?
Seconded by Dressley.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The consent agenda is approved unanimously. All right, next we're moving into items for individual action. And the first item we have is for max levy limitations. I'm looking for a motion on this item.
I make a motion to approve the max levy limitations document.
Can I get a second, please?
Second, Milner.
All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the max levy limitations document, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes unanimously to approve the max levy limitations. All right, next up, we have the fantastic Eagle Bluff Environmental Center trip approval. So I'm looking for a motion on this item.
I strongly recommend that we approve the Eagle Bluff Environmental Center trip.
Bruns will second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the Eagle Bluff Environmental Center trip, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes unanimously to approve the Eagle Bluff Environmental Center trip. Next up, we have the license, the Dakota County Public Health Department use of ISD 200 schools. Looking for a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve, and just for the public's information, this is in case of dire emergency, say for instance, a tornado or some overwhelming devastation that would happen, the school buildings can be used by them to house and to provide showers or whatever it is that need to be provided, but it's not during the time that school would be in session.
All right, I'm looking for a second.
Biermeyer seconds.
All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving, now I can't remember the motion you made, approving the Dakota County Public Health use of the schools, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes unanimously. All right, next up, we have two MSBA board member resolutions. I would like to suggest that perhaps we do independent motions on these items. So I guess I'm looking for a motion on the seat time resolution first. Or do we want to do discussion first? We can do discussion first. All right. So we have two resolutions brought forward by Director Bruns. The first one is the seat time resolution. And Director Bruns, if you want to give a short summary of this one, please.
Yeah, this is something that superintendents and other folks have been encouraging for a long time. It allows us to be more innovative with how we design programming because kids can move faster through or get credit for things that they have done for like competency-based kind of instruction, where your ability to earn a credit isn't tied to any amount of time that you spent in a space, because that doesn't signify what you know. Some of us can change a valve cover on a Silverado in an hour watching a YouTube video. Others of us are going to take a week and we're going to study that. Everyone has their own pace, and what it allows folks to do is to move through at that pace. And so I know like Jason Berg in Farmington has been pushing for something like this, but it's the idea that we can become more innovative when we lose that rule for seat time. When you think about a student that has mastered a criteria is then still just in that space sitting. And it's not requisite of anything that amounts to learning if they've already demonstrated their ability to do so.
Thank you. I do have one concern or question. I fully agree that every person learns at a different pace. My only concern with this is, the seat time requirement is basically how the funding is determined from the taxpayers. So if you do away with the seat time requirements, how would one calculate what the need is from taxpayers to pay for staffing, the heat, the lights, all that kind of stuff? I feel like that has to be coupled with this somehow.
I just commented, not in direct response to your question, but our funding is based on average daily membership of students, and we're funded for the students that we have, the full-time equivalency students that we have, and then a multiplier effect. And that is not necessarily linked to seat time. It can be linked to other things. And when we look at schools that we're familiar with, like Shakopee, they can't do what they're doing out in the community with students without foregoing some of these expectations. And so there are many schools that have individual district level waivers to get around seat time as a Dr. Champa, creative initiatives, or I forget what it's called, but there are schools that have special favor or special approval to do this. And I think that statewide, it's really critical that if we're going to be a 21st century school, and by the way, we're a quarter of the way through the 21st century, I mean, it'd be nice if some of the outdated ways of operating schools would be set aside. And it wouldn't be set aside for every kid, because some kids do really well in that factory model, but some kids are not doing well in that factory model.
I'll just add to that. So we did get some feedback from HCTV that our microphones were causing issues, and so that's why we've reconfigured here a little bit. But yes, so right now, if we do something a little bit different with our programming, we still tie it back, right? Like we have an assigned class, even though our students maybe are off-site, just to make sure that those hours are accounted for. So if you don't have that special permissions, then it's that continued, not workaround, but just a creative way of acknowledging that. So this, I don't think all the questions are answered in this yet. It's just an opportunity to start looking at things differently.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, so with that, now I'm looking for a motion on the seat time resolution.
The Zuzik would make a motion to approve the seat time resolution, and I'd be happy to carry it forward.
Director Pine will ride on Zuzik's coattails and second it.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the seat time resolution, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes unanimously to approve the seat time resolution to send forward to MSBA, to the Delegate Assembly. All right, the second one we have here is we have all kinds of fun going on tonight. Mike just died. All right, so next up is the Rule of 90 resolution. So Director Bruns, again, if you could just give a summary of what this is about.
Yeah, it's about restoring pension language that had existed in the past. And so the idea is that you take your age and experience in the profession, and when you hit 90, you now qualify for full payment on your pension. And I think that this is important work when we think about like recruiting and retaining staff, and also being a border town with Wisconsin where something like this exists. There are other things that don't exist, like they have right to work, and that impacts their earnings over the period of their employment and how they collectively bargain. But I think restoring this piece for educators allows them to see this as a profession that not only feeds what they prefer to do, but also rewards them financially in a way that working in public education doesn't always allow to happen. So if you're able to step away and retire on a rock solid pension, that's another reason to join the profession and stay within the profession and retain high quality talent.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? Vice Chair Dressler.
So more of a comment, this would be at an extravagant cost to the district if it moved forward in the legislature. Am I misrepresented? Am I correct about that?
So I did have an opportunity a year or two ago when this was being looked at that time to sit in on a statistical analysis, which really dug into what would it take to bring this back. And it was cost prohibitive for the state and so that's when we started looking at some other options of not 90, but maybe 95 or what that might look like. And so, yes, you're correct. There are other states that have 85, 80, and this had been sunsetted. I think we have a handful of people left that still qualify for the rule of 90. So like the others, this would have a lot of consideration and a lot of work to be done to move it forward.
Any other questions or comments?
I would comment that this cost is and I understand that we're spending state dollars in public schools, but it's more of a state cost than a district cost. And the reason I say that is the district pays into TRA, Teacher Retirement Association, already, and they would continue to do so. They would just be paying into TRA for a different employee. I think that there would be some challenges potentially during the transition to have enough staffing available. You know, I think that there's some other quirks that would need to be worked out. I don't think that it's direct cost to the district in as much as it would be the district would continue to pay into TRA for a teacher as they currently do. I don't see any other hidden costs related to it. At the state level, there would be.
Just a quick comment with that. So there are tiered increases for TRA currently. So that percentage has gone up. I think we've had 2 increases. Is that right, Director Subert? So there would likely be additional increases to the district to share in that percentage.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, I'll explain. I'm not going to vote in favor of this. I have an issue with the government, frankly, being in between the employer and employee relationship in general. But the other piece is I feel like this is something that the teachers union would be pushing more than the board or the districts in the state. And because of the cost. And so for those reasons, I'll be a nay. So just wanted to explain my vote. All right. Any other comments before we vote? No? All right. With that, I am looking for a motion on this item.
Bruns will make a motion to move forward with the Rule of 90 resolution for the MSBA board member resolutions.
Can I get a second?
Suzik will second. My reason for seconding is to bring it to a vote.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all of those in favor say aye. All right, all those opposed say nay. Nay. All right, motion fails to approve the Rule of 90 resolution by a vote of 1 to 6. Thank you, by the way, for putting the time in and preparing those. All right, and our final item on our agenda this evening is our superintendent goals.
All right, so just like you heard our directors talk about their goals, my goals were reviewed at the work session earlier this month. There have not been changes to it, so they are back before you. Already making some progress on these, so if there's any additional comments, otherwise looking for those to be approved.
All right, with that, I'm looking for a motion on this item.
Motion to approve the 2024-2025 superintendent goals.
All right, could I get a second, please?
Biermeyer seconds.
All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the 2024-25 superintendent goals, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously to approve the 2024-25 superintendent goals. All right, and finally, we are at our point where I discuss future meetings. And we don't, well, I shouldn't say we don't. We have a 30-minute work session in October, on October 8th, because the board is going into a retreat after that. So we are likely to, I'm guessing we're gonna discuss a few policies coming out of the policy committee meeting. And I don't believe there's anything else that has been firmed up yet for that 30 minutes. And then we have our October 23rd regular meeting, and we will be discussing, or we will be bringing forward the vision card update, right? And then also we'll be approving our quarterly donations. So those are the next two regular board meetings. And that's all I've got. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, thank you. Can I get a second?
Pine second.
All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously to adjourn at 6:56 PM.